Welcome to the Solid Signal Podcast for the week of March 12th, 2018. First of all, I want to send out a real big thank you to all of those who expressed some concern last week that it sounded like I wasn't feeling very well. In fact, I wasn't feeling very well, to be honest with you. And I am proud to say that I'm back and happy this week and ready to give you another podcast full of excitement, fun, and you just don't know what. The subject for this week's podcast is Take It to the Limit, and the question is, how far can our current technology go? For example, with compression. Now, compression is an important part of all video and audio delivery. When it comes to your cell phone, compression is used to give you the best quality sound in its tiny, tiny sliver of bandwidth so that you can have thousands and thousands of calls on a single cell tower. Compression is used to make sure that you get HD quality even when you're streaming. 4K quality is technically possible, but maybe we're running up against the limit of what compression can do. If you were to send a single 4K signal across the internet, you would need something on the order of 150 gigabit per second line to do one channel of 4K. Put another way, even if you've got a brand new fiber connection capable of 1 gigabit, which very few people do, you'd still need 150 of them. If you're like the average person and you have somewhere around 100 megabit line, you would need 1,500 100 megabit lines just to get a 4K picture. Now, we all know that's not the case, and 4K is compressed very heavily to the extent that in some cases it just looks like HD, so that it can fit in a 25 to 30 megabit space. It's pretty amazing to me that they're able to do it, but it's pretty obvious also that at least at the moment, we're at the limit of what can be done. Now, the same thing would go for just the pay television universe. Are we at the limit? Have we reached peak pay television so that everybody is watching what they can? And let's face facts, there isn't enough time to watch any more quality television. The funny thing is, we've been saying for years that yes, we are at peak quality television and this is the limit. There couldn't possibly be any more. There just isn't enough time to watch. But that every year turns out to be not true. Why? Because we're willing to accept something called audience fragmentation. Audience fragmentation means that it's okay if a particular show only reaches 1 million people, instead of back in the old days when it was important that a show reach 50 or 70 million people. Because it is cheaper to make shows in many ways. The technology makes it easier to make shows. Sure, salaries go up, distribution costs go up, but it's so much easier, technologically speaking, to make quality television than it was in the past that you have a control over some of those costs. It's just not as big of a deal. And also, because it's just part of the universe that we live in. No one expects that a single show is going to be able to reach 75 million people anymore, and the way that those shows are monetized is different than it ever was. So, no, we have not run up with the limit of peak television. Have we reached peak cell phone? I kind of, in a lot of ways, think we have. You know, there hasn't been this transformative thing that there was in the late 2000s. Oh, sure, you know, if there's Face ID and paying with your iris or your fingerprint or whatever. But these are all incremental changes, and it makes me wonder, at least at the moment, that if we have not just reached the limit of what a cell phone is capable of doing, possibly because of the limits of battery technology. We have definitely run up against the limits of battery technology, that is for sure. Every cell phone, every tablet is about half to 3/4 battery by weight. And if we could come up with a way to eliminate the batteries, make them solar or kinetic powered, or just have a battery that's 100 times more efficient, then we could have amazing computational power out of our cell phones, do things that we can't even think of today. But at the moment, it seems like we are up against a limit. Limits, my friend, are everywhere. And even your humble narrator finds himself limited now and again, like I did last week when I got sick. But just like this week, when I rise resilient and bring you an even better and more hyperactive podcast than I did before, limits are made to be surpassed. See you next week.